Clip.co University. Let's talk about taps. Can an editor find the best clips from a long form video? Can anybody, for that matter? That's why I want to talk about taps.
Specifically, this is like podcasters who are like, the podcaster's dream is they show up because we have our own podcast. We want this. It's like show up, and then you have this producer / editor, call them a predator, and they come in, and it's like they handle everything. They'll handle like, finding the best clips, editing the podcast, making the clips all beautiful, doing titles, thumbnails, like everything. Like that's the dream. Reality is that's just too much. Like you're gonna end up with someone who's not good at anything versus having like someone that specializes in producing, someone that specializes in editing. So our perfect world is like the producer can go in and find, hey, roughly in this hour-long podcast, I think that the audience will like this thing, which is like 15 minutes in. That's the most relevant. And this is especially like early stages. I think when you're compounding for years with an editor, they'll start to build up an intuition. So they'll like be able to do this themselves. But at the start, like you just want the editor focused on editing. It's like give them the rough like couple minutes they should focus on, and then hey, let's turn that into something that's a good story, as good as it can be, repurposed, and just make it look magical.
And you coach that and do it long enough, you get to a point where we are with our personal editors, and it's that telepathy where it's like we shoot a thing like this, we tell one of our editors like chop up the best moments. They do that because they've seen us find the best moments, but it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, repurposing altogether, it's like the majority of the value is in the story, as in it's like we call it time cuts. It's like just like the raw, like taking something, condensing it to a minute or so, and still having a cohesive narrative with like enough context at the start. It's really hard to do.
It's the wrong game. So where it comes from is like Gary Vaynerchuk 10 years ago, first kind of mover on like Facebook and Instagram, early YouTube, where you would the goal was to film a 3-hour thing and then chop it up into 10,000 pieces of content because quantity was rewarded. It was the same reason like Casey Neistat's daily vlog was blowing up on YouTube. The metric was like quantity and time spent on the platform. That's not the game today. Today, I would argue with YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, titles and thumbnails for long form, like quality of content is everything. There have never been more people trying to get your eyeballs. Quality is everything. Well, it's a pure meritocracy. It's like may the best content win, and repurposed stuff is just too sloppy to win in this game.
Yeah, it's like I think Gary could win in that game because no one else was doing it. It was so new, like there was no competition. People just wanted short form content, and he was like the best for it at the time. Now everyone's doing short form content, so you can't win quality and quantity at the same time. Like it's just impossible. So if there's like already too much quantity, you're not gonna win with more quantity. The only way you're gonna win is more quality. So that's where it's like our advice to podcasters in general is like, hey, you got to add some scripted element into either the hook or ideally just like take that whole idea from the podcast and reshoot that, and then it can do really well. Obviously, it takes a lot of time, and so maybe you're fine with getting like 1% of the views that you could get if it were scripted, but it's kind of a trade-off you got to think about. But we're big scripted fans.